Do you guys know what a vegan is?
Yes.
Yeah, so a vegan is someone who doesn't eat animal products and, in extension, avoids industries that exploit them.
Sulfates in there, so it's a bit hypocritical.
Wine with sulfates in them.
A lot of them, yeah.
What's sulfates?
Sulfates from fish, isn't it?
I don't think sulfate is. I don't think sulfate's from an animal.
Isn't there
So, firstly, what do you guys think of animals?
something? I love animals. I got a dog.
You got a dog. Okay.
I'm a vegetarian.
Okay, vegetarian. Yeah, that's good. Okay. What do you think of people that abuse animals?
I think that they should probably be abused in return, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Scumbags. And then, how would you define abuse? What would that look like to you?
What, abuse of animals?
Yeah.
Well, just any like mistreatment, so malnutrition.
Yep.
Not like even just spending time, like looking like. I hate when people get a dog and just leave it in the house all day, like 9-10 hours a day, and go to work. That's actually abuse. That's neglect.
Neglect. Yeah.
So neglect, food, physical abuse.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and then finally, so I'm not trying to catch you guys out, but what do you think of animals that we send into slaughterhouses and that we exploit? Yeah.
Well, you don't eat them, so you're so
So you're vegetarian?
Yes.
Yeah. What made you want to go vegetarian?
I've just been vegetarian since I was about 6 or 7 years old. I just kind of,
Okay.
I think that's probably when I first realised like where meat comes from maybe and just thought,
Yeah.
I just thought like it's not for me, like I'd rather.
Did you watch any videos or anything, or you just like sort of just made the connection yourself? Yeah. Well, that's good because it took me a while to make that connection.
I think for me, there's a disconnection between that and what you buy in the supermarket. You don't actually see the process. The product that's on the shelf isn't actually linked to that physical animal, is it? Like we're pretty good. We're buying like organic stuff. We need to have chickens and like, our own eggs and everything like that. So there wasn't from battery farms.
Okay.
But I do eat meat, so at the same time.
To be fair though, I think in the last 2 years or so, you've eaten pretty much almost vegetarian. Like
Yeah,
you've cut down with like meat intake a
I
lot.
just had a steak for lunch though.
Do you guys know what a vegan is?
Yes.
Yeah. So a vegan is someone who doesn't eat animal products and, in extension, avoids industries that exploit them.
Sulfates in there, so it's a bit hypocritical.
Wine with sulfates in them.
A lot of them, yeah.
What's sulfates?
Sulfates from fish, isn't it?
I think sulfate is. I don't think sulfate's from an animal.
Isn't there something with fish that in red wine? Loads of people drink it.
But what would hold you guys back from going vegan if you were against animal abuse?
To be honest, like nothing. Like it'd just be a change of diet. Like it would literally be just a change, like an education of what to cook and eat. We eat like most of our food, like yours, obviously all of it. Most of it is vegetarian. So I feel like when you've already done that, to make the jump isn't a lot. Like there's no issue really. I think like if you could get like a really like Mob Kitchen and stuff, like their Instagram pages do really good.
Mob Kitchen.
Yeah, they do some really good like vegan recipes and stuff like that, and we'll quite often get that. I think.
Yeah.
I do think the culture's changing though, isn't it? A lot more people are starting to go vegan. You look at like Sainsbury's and Tesco's now; they've got a massive.
There's a lot more like evidence out there as to what we actually do to these animals in these industries.
There's so much more choice these days as well. Like from when I first became vegetarian, like there was like nothing in supermarkets, whereas now like it's so easy to eat vegetarian or vegan and like. I think we do think more about our options in terms of what we eat, and we're like, we don't eat like, even like we eat a lot of vegan food. Like, I think it's all about just trying to have a balanced diet and make sure you're getting a mixture of everything.
So if you're vegetarian, so you eat dairy and then eggs as well. Yeah. Okay. So
Too much dairy though.
Not loads.
The only non-vegan thing that you eat is eggs. Even cheese. We're not even really. I don't really eat cheese.
No. But I don't. It's not.
So you guys said you had backyard hens. Is that right? Where did they come from? Is it like rescues?
They were stolen from a battery farm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's good. You see,
My mum's friend's like an activist. She just turned up in a van with them. So she'd nicked them overnight.
was she an animal rights activist?
Yeah, she
brilliant.
stole them and just gave them to us.
Well, I mean, they live an awful life in these battery farms. I mean, the majority of the products you see on the shelf as well, they come from these big commercial industries. And I mean, there's loads of documentaries out there. I'll give you a card at the end of it to see them all. But it's just once you make that connection, I found it really hard to live with myself as a person.
If you see the process, it's connecting for you as well. If you're more aware of it. Whereas the disconnection with supermarket shelves is people can do it guilt-free, can't they?
They can, exactly. And I think you see people buy cigarettes, but on the packets they have a picture of lung cancer on them usually. I think there should be a picture of the slaughterhouse on meat products, because I think that would put people off, and that's the reality of what they go through. I mean, it's standard. What do you think the standard way of killing pigs is in the UK?
Do they shock them first or not?
No, so it's gas chambers.
Oh, is it? Really?
Yeah. And recently there was a documentary called Pignorant that came out, which exposed a gas chamber slaughterhouse up north by Manchester. It's on Prime Video. It's called Pignorant, which you can check out. And I mean, pigs are just like dogs. Like they They go through the same pain. They're intelligent. They see what happens to these animals as well. They see their mate go ahead, and they know what's up as well. If you watch these videos of them, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think to be fair, I think like I don't think you're going to abolish it overnight. To be honest with you, like I think the animal rights, I think step one is to make sure that animals that are in the food chain in slaughterhouse and things are treated better. Is going to be the first step.
Welfare, yeah.
The welfare is important, and then after that, I think you'll be able to kind of like push into the general.
I'd say the problem with welfare is that there's always another welfare issue that comes up when there is more welfare they put in.
The biggest problem is education.
That's it, and that's why I'm out here. So I think like individual change is the most important thing. So I'm a vegan, so I'm a vegan activist. I'm out here talking to people about it, and how I believe is if you make that individual change yourself, then systemic change will come as a result of that. Because you might tell your mates about it, you might get really passionate about it, you might become an activist yourself, and then that sets off a chain reaction, and then that is what will bring us that change we need. And I think animal rights are the way forward, not animal welfare. Do you think animals should have rights?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like fundamental rights, protecting them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that can happen when people still consume them though, and pay for them to? Yeah.
No, I think. I think.
So veganism comes in hand with animal rights, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also become like. I don't think it would be a massive issue if we weren't such a wasteful culture. If you look at the last thousands and thousands of years, people that have eaten animals have used every single part of it, and they've kept them in really good conditions before that happened. Whereas now we've just completely lost the connection. There's so much waste from it. It's always it's a needless death, like most of the time.
Do you think it's the principle that's wrong or the practice?
The practice is wrong.
Still not the principle.
The principle is if I had a cow that I kept in the back garden, and I went outside and I massaged it and I told it how much I loved it every day, and I drank its milk, that's not a problem, is it?
Yeah, I suppose the way I see it is like you're still viewing the animal as a commodity, because you're seeing the animal as okay, this is something that I can use to get food out of. When the cow's milk is for a baby cow, isn't it?
You're doing the same with plants.
In what way?
Growing a plant to eat it.
Yeah, but do you think a plant is different to an animal?
It's a living organism.
It's a living organism. Does it have a nervous system, or does it feel pain?
Depends what studies you look at.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Right, no, I get what you mean.
And there's a difference between cutting the stem of broccoli off and slitting the throat of an animal.
Yes.
And I mean, we can go on the topic of like small scale farms as well. Okay. It's like how did these big scale farms come about? They started with small scale farms. And they started with that mindset: these animals are here for us to do as we please.
That's what they say, yeah.
So it's about undoing that kind of program and that kind of way of thinking, and then thinking of a more peaceful way to do it, which my answer is veganism.
Yeah. I think it's right.
For me, even if you can get people to start eating vegan like 2-3 times a week and make those small changes, and then maybe over time they'll go to full-time veganism. That's the best. Like, it's so hard because it can be such a change of diet for people. Like, for me, it's easy. Like, I can eat vegan. Like, I could probably eat vegan full time.
You just got to cut out the cow's milk, innit? And then eggs as well, I suppose.
If people are brought up in the system where they think that's how they need to get their protein X, Y, Z, which is not true at all. Like, these days, there's so many alternatives. It's so easy to, like, it couldn't be easier now to get sources of.
I think food chain education when you're younger is probably the main thing, isn't it? Because
that's one of the big things they keep out of education. They don't let anyone know what happens to these animals. There's a lot of propaganda around it as well of how these animals are treated. Like happy cow is one of them. Yeah. Do you think a cow is happy when they go into slaughter or when they have their baby calf taken away from them?
Very much doubt it.
Yeah, so do I. And they use the marketing to get people to not think about it. And that's when your due diligence needs to come in. Yeah. You need to like do that research yourself. And it does come down to you and how much you actually do care about animals, how much you care about those issues. Because I've had people tell me straight up they don't care about animals, and it's like, I can't really convince.
Because people view domesticated animals and then like animals as like cows and like lamb and stuff as commodities, whereas domesticated, you'd never ever slaughter your dog like to eat it. Like, well,
in China maybe, yeah. Do you know what that's actually called a term? It's got a term. Do you know what that is?
I can't remember. It's banned in most places.
Yeah, but that term of seeing some animals is here for us to do as we please and others not. It's called speciesism. Okay. It's actually a term that coined Melanie Joy. She's a psychiatrist who coined that term, and it goes right up alongside racism, sexism. Because it's basically treating one animal differently from another depending on the body they've been born into. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting.
How long have you been vegan for?
I've been vegan for 3 years now.
What made you become vegan? Was it just realising?
Well, originally it was diet. So I do Thai boxing, and I originally went on that I went on a plant-based diet so I could compete better. And it did help. I won my fight after I went on it. But then I started looking into it more. I looked at the health, then the environment, and then the ethics of it. And I watched films such as Earthlings. Have you heard of Earthlings? No. Well, Earthlings, Land of Hope and Glory as well is another one. This activist called Ed Winters, he made Land of Hope and Glory, which is a UK documentary of how standard practice on UK farms. That came out a few years ago, and it's still not really taken off. But I watched those, and then I just looked at what was happening to these animals for my taste pleasure. Really, that was the only reason I decided not to go vegan, because I like the taste of it so much. But then I thought I couldn't really respect myself if I was to still continue with it after knowing and seeing what they go through. And I was always taught to.
Taste changes though. Like even when I moved in with you, I obviously stopped eating meat. Like pretty much, I probably have it like once every 2 weeks. I don't crave it anymore. I'm not like, I was brought up like in very like standard household with like meat and 2 veg for dinner. Like, and that was like when I moved in with Ali, I was like, oh my god, like where's the meat? Like I've got like a slab of cauliflower, like that's something else. But I think like it's just education and cooking it as well, isn't it? It's really nice.
Like even like we don't really eat like meat, all things that try and imitate meat at all. Like we don't.
No, we don't.
It's just
like whatever it's called, like chicken.
Like beyond meat, you get and stuff.
Yeah,
I do like it personally. Yeah.
We like aubergines and cauliflower steaks and things
But
like that.
that's the great thing about being a vegan. You can pick what you eat. You haven't got to eat animal like products that resemble like an animal product. You can go fully whole food plant based, which is very, very healthy for you. I mean, a lot of people have done studies on it and how healthy it is for you. And there's unhealthy vegan food, like ultra processed food that you still get those. You can't have it all the time, but yeah.
If you're going to eat half a kilo of oats in the morning and still unhealthy, do you know what I mean? It's like,
You got to have a balanced diet, innit? So balance it out. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's probably more just like education. I think it depends what kind of like demographic you're talking to. If you're talking to the gym goers, their main thing's going to be like, I want a protein hit. They're not educated to know that you can get that from other products. If you're talking to like the 60s and 70s generation, they're going to be brought up on that meat and 2 veg.
Mate, I've experienced all kinds of ages. I've spoken to so many people.
Probably looking at now is like you say, the education of the food process system. And
because I mean, there's a learning curve to it. There's a learning curve to living like a vegan for sure, but it really doesn't compare to what the animals go through. And that's one thing I say, is that it's hard for you to go vegan when you think about yourself, but it's easy when you think about the animals and you think about what they go through. Just for a little bit of inconvenience, maybe a few weeks of like studying, it's not much to ask for. And you haven't got to be an activist like what I'm doing. You just be vegan. It's neutral.
But I think we'll have some beans for dinner then.
Have some beans, get some broccoli with that and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, I hope
but
this helped anyway.
Let me give you these cards as well.